This week's Hometown Happenings is brought to you by the Detroit Lakes School District.
All right, welcome to Hometown Happenings. We're here at Rossman Elementary School in Detroit Lakes with the new principal, Jason Keene, and he's starting out the first day. We're taping actually on the second day of school. So Jason, welcome to Detroit Lakes, number one.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I would. I am originally from Crookston, Minnesota. Both my parents started out as teachers, and so education's always kind of been in our family. Both my brother and sister currently teach, and my parents now are administrators. My mom's an elementary principal, my dad's a high school principal, so got lots to talk about when we're together. But graduated from Concordia in Moorhead, and my wife Jody and I met there. We got 3 little boys. Cooper's a first grader here at Rossman. Bennett just turned 3, and then we have a 4-month-old Hudson. And we spent about 11 years west of the cities in Howard Lake, Waverly, Winsted, and I taught 2nd, then 6th, then 1st, then 3rd, and then I was a dean of students for 3 years between our 2 elementary schools and did a lot of coaching. I was a girls basketball coach for 10 years and helped a lot with football and golf as well. And then last year I was principal at Ada Elementary and pre-K through 6 building, and then now we're here, so okay. Excited.
All right, very neat. So you're in the Detroit Lakes area, and I guess, well, because you did go to school in Concordia, so You're familiar with the area. Yeah,
there is a lot of Cobbers here. We had the new teacher orientation, and I think 8 of the 22 are Cobbers, and then we had all the Cobbers stand up on the first day, and it seemed like we had a majority compared to the other schools, so we'll hang that over everyone else's head.
All right, very good. So we're in the Rossman Elementary School, obviously, and the second day of school. How'd the first day go?
Surprisingly good, maybe a little scary. So, but lots of, obviously got scheduling and, lunch and recess, kind of getting through that time frame, and then the morning routines and the end of the day routines are always kind of what are on my plate and kind of worrying about, but they went well, and I think the kids did a great job, and I'm fortunate. We have a wonderful staff here, and have a good mix of veterans, and we have some new staff, and I think the communication has been well, and it's been very pleasing so far.
Okay, so you've gone through the span of teaching and coaching, and now you're in administration. You grew up in the education family, so to speak. What else? What do you love about teaching, and what do you love about administrating?
I think teaching-wise, there's days I miss it. In terms of just having that direct contact with kids, and so I try during my role right now to find ways to interact with kids on a daily basis. Hopefully, when parents are in here or staff, they'll say, Mr. Keene's visible. I try to be out and about. I try to clear my schedule as much as possible during the day so that I can be active and engage with kids. Right now I don't even know very many names, so 600 kids, about trying to learn their names is something that's on my plate. But just trying to build relationships. They obviously know who I am, and trying to work to know their names. But teaching-wise, I just enjoy building relationships with kids. And I think that's the same thing with coaching, at a different level. I was working with high school kids as opposed to elementary kids. In my current role, I think it's just having that opportunity to have an impact on a bigger basis. I think there's a lot of days I wish I could go back to being a teacher, but I think there's things I really appreciate now in terms of being an administrator. And I think, I don't view myself as having a separate role compared to everyone else. I think everyone plays an important part in our school here, and we're one big team. And so my role looks different on a daily basis, but for the most part, we're all here for the same reason.
Okay, I'm here today at Rossman Elementary School in Detroit Lakes with new principal Jason Keene. We're going to take a quick break and be back with more Hometown Happenings after this. Welcome back to Hometown Happenings here at Rossman Elementary School with the new principal, Jason Keene, and talking to him about what's next for Rossman and what's next for your role as a principal.
Good question. I think anytime you come in a new situation, you always want to evaluate what's going well and what are some areas we can improve on. I think I was fortunate enough to have time this summer to meet with every staff member and kind of get that feedback. And I think anybody who's been involved with the Detroit Lakes School District and Rossman Elementary in particular know there's lots of great things happening. I think it's a big school in terms of we have 600 kids, but it's still that family feel in terms among the staff as well as the students. So continue to build on traditions and keep those things in place and build on those strengths. I think when we talk about I mean, education is always changing. So, to say that we're just going to do this and be content, I think we just always got to be looking what's next and how can we continue to challenge ourselves, but still having that time and the resources to be able to commit to it and do it do things really well before moving on to the next big thing. I think, I think things that we're always working on, on the professional level in terms of teaching is, how can we get the most bang for our buck in terms of time. We have a lot of things we got to cover, and at the same time we want school to be fun, and I think some things you'll start to see more coming into in terms of the education realm from a whole are building ways to empower kids. I think when they go out into the real world, people aren't hiring because they want someone who's going to do what they're going to do all the time. They want people to think creatively and work together and communicate. And I think we got to start instilling that, as kindergartners, and finding those opportunities. At the same time, they still need to learn how to read. They need how to, have math and all those other core subjects as well.
All right, yeah, so that's amazing because, those elementary years are very impressionable. I remember a lot of my elementary school teachers. I remember coming here to Rossman for kindergarten. So, yeah, so it's a big moment, a big chapter in people's lives. And, you kind of help formulate that.
Yeah. Well, you think
weight on
like
the shoulder.
Routines and procedures, too. I mean, those are things that are so important at our level. And as they get to the middle school and high school, they need to become more independent. And so that release of independence is important here at our building, too.
Okay. Well, you talk about building on tradition and moving forward. But what are some of the hurdles that you face? I know the school district is going for a referendum coming up in November because of space issues mostly, and just maybe safety issues too. But I'm sure you're busting at the seams here in Rossman.
Yeah, that would be a good way to describe it. I mean, if you came, we'd love the public to come in and see it, what's going on in our building, because we have a lot of great things happening. But I think one thing that would stand out too, I mean, our building I think is supposed to be meant for 435 kids, and we have close to 600. We're squeezing space, and we're not the only school in the state of Minnesota that's doing that, but we have to be wise and conscientious. We have a multi-purpose room that is our gym and cafeteria at the same time, and so that eliminates some of the opportunities for Phi-Ed on a daily basis to lengthen that. And just overall, I mean, it's an older building I think our custodial staff and our building and grounds crew have done a great job of keeping it looking beautiful on the inside and out. At the same time, I mean, it's not built for modern classrooms, and so there's things that our kids maybe aren't getting as many opportunities that if we would have a different space. At the same time, I think our teachers have done a great job adapting to make it accommodating for our kids as well.
Well, it's a great location, about a block away from the lake.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we're fortunate. I mean, we have access in terms of we're a mile away from the community center and Holmes Theater, and just that access to be able to do a lot of things that that make it beneficial in terms of that neighborhood school feeling too.
All right, yes. So you've got a lot of things to work with coming in as the new kid on the block, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you got your work cut out for you, but you're carrying that tradition ahead too with your staff. And
yeah, and I guess I'm just very thankful. I think it's been a great opportunity for me so far, and I'm only 2 months in, but at my level, the administrative team that I get to work with is very helpful, and hopefully I can bring something to that team as well, too.
Okay, and as we're speaking, the kindergartners have not yet set foot in this building.
Yeah, so we got to cross our fingers. They start tomorrow, and they've been coming in and doing some general assessments and meeting the teacher and so forth. But we'll be a full house tomorrow, and I think I think it'll be the noise level maybe go up a little bit, which is okay too. And I think we'll be excited to have them because they're ready to come, and I think their parents are excited for them to start school too.
All right, an exciting year ahead. Jason Keene, thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Thank you.
And that's it for Hometown Happenings from Rossman School. Along with Jason Keene, I'm Carol McCarthy for Hometown Happenings.